out of Cleveland. You want to be a boss? That's how you be a boss. I did. I made a mistake. Baker Mayfield possibly out of Cleveland. You want to be a boss? That's how you be a boss. I did. I made a mistake. Hey, good morning. We got billionaire problems. We do. We got billionaire problems. We got Jimmy Irsay going ham, as the kids say. He went ham. He took a takedown of Daniel Snyder. Daniel Snyder fights back. Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft are slap fighting. Don't say mean things to me. You be mean to me, as my daughter. Don't be mean to me. Man, oh man, I gotta tell you, I love it. We got the Real Housewives of NFL billionaires. As the great Dylan Taylor said, man, what the heck? You're all billionaires. What are you so upset about? Why are you creating problems for yourself? Sure, Daniel Snyder's a dirtbag. Sure. But don't believe everything you read. Look, I'm just going to tell you from my perspective. In my perspective, now I've been in 11 national stories. Not one time have they gotten it right. And I'm talking about everything from personal attacks on me to professional movement. Not one time has the media gotten it right. Not once. They lie, they slant, they put things their way, and they know. Look, is it an easy target, Daniel Snyder? Yes. Is he a dirtbag? Yes. But he's an easy target. So Jimmy Irsay yesterday, he went ham, yo. Yeah, he did. He went all ham on Daniel Snyder, and people have absolutely eaten it up. Now, look, I don't think Jimmy Irsay or any other owner, any of them are the right guy to criticize anybody, particularly when you try to use the shield as Jimmy Irsay did, particularly when you try to say, this isn't what the NFL is about. The hell it isn't. Every time you see Ray Lewis out there dancing like an idiot, looking like Elaine Bennis for the Baltimore Ravens, understand this dude was involved in a double murder and then was willfully employed. Understand this. Murder. Lied about it. Got off by ratting others out. Murder. Every time you see Joe Mixon out there running, just take a look at what Joe Mixon did to a woman college student. Every time you saw Dante Stallworth out there, ran over dude, killed him, 7 a.m. in the morning. I mean, don't even try this with me. The number of people in the NFL that have been employed after serious crimes is staggering. Just staggering. I mean, damn, the NFL had a mass murderer in Aaron Hernandez running around. And we're going to be mad. All right. We're going to protect the shield. All right. This isn't what the NFL stands for, Jimmy Irsay says. All right, I'm going to give you 2 words. What the NFL stands for. Money. That's right. 2 words. Money. Or 2 words. That damn money. That's it. Look, these owners hold up their cities to get new stadiums built. They'll employ anybody that can run a 4.40 and help them win a game. But man, oh man, all of a sudden now, this isn't what the shield stands for. Really? All right. Okay. How many times was Pac-Man Jones arrested, then put back on a team? I heard that great philosopher yesterday on my way back from Illinois State about 1 a.m, pontificating on something completely ignorant. It was awesome. It was awesome to hear a man of such stupidity and criminal background pontificating on how coaches should treat him. How many times was that guy put back into the league? Don't give me this crap about the shield. We all understand and we all love the NFL. We do. We love it. It's great. Don't tell me about the shield. Don't tell me about we're here to defend the shield, Jimmy Irsay. Just simply say, hey, look, I don't have all the facts in front of me, but Daniel Jones said he was going to dig up dirt on us. At least it was alleged in an article. Dig it all up on me. I feel the same way as Jimmy Irsay. Dig it up, man. Bring it all. Cares? Yeah, Jimmy Irsay about 6 years ago got arrested. I don't hold that against him. Addiction's a mother. Jimmy Irsay's been a pretty good guy, but I do know this. And this is probably wrong to say, but I did interact with Jimmy Irsay at training camp. He was nice enough. He brought me an autographed football, painted, all this kind of stuff. And because I'm really hard on the Colts in Indy. And he said, you're not mean, you're just provocative. So I really like Jimmy Irsay. But I got to tell you, Jimmy Irsay, man, his handlers did not want him to speak. Like they did not want him to be interviewed. And Jimmy Irsay was not 1,000% there. I have no idea. I'm just telling you my experience under attended training camp. His handlers were like, come on. I mean, so when Jimmy Irsay speaks, I don't know what's going on in the background, but I got to tell you 2 things. One, I love it. I love that Irsay did call out Snyder, but there's no owner in the NFL that's going to tell me about the trash of another owner and how we're protecting the shield. All right, let's go to Irsay's comments. We have them here basically in entirety. Go ahead, let's play Irsay's comments.
Thorough in going forward, but I think it's something that has to be given serious consideration to.
You ever seen something like this? Have you ever been to a meetings where you've had to consider things like that?
There, in the past, there's been situations like that. Going back to the days with Eddie DeBartolo and different times that are difficult. Back to the USFL days in the 80s. I mean, there's always been, it seems like in the old days there was more difficult times that came up, but I've seen a lot through the 50 years, so you're always prepared for them.
Do you believe enough people agree with you that that's a realistic possibility?
Well, I think, again, when we look at the evidence and go forward, we'll have to determine what the situation is, but I just believe in the workplace today, the standard that the Shield stands for in the NFL, that that you have to stand for that and protect that. I just think that once owners talk amongst each other, they'll arrive to the right decision. My belief is that, unfortunately, I believe that that's the road we probably need to go down, and we just need to finish the investigation. But it's gravely concerning to me, the things that have occurred there over the last 20 years.
Does that
Jim,
open
what
up a door
concerns
to?
you the most in that? What's the most concerning part of it?
Well, I just think what's happened in the workplace, having 3 daughters, 7 granddaughters, that's just not, again, we have to look at the investigation and see.
Jimmy Irsay hasn't, according to him, even seen all the evidence. Now, I'm not defending Daniel Snyder. He's a dirtbag, and if he needs to go, who cares? I mean, but I'm telling you, I've been involved in 12 actually, national stories, and not once have they been remotely accurate. So my perspective is, when I see something like, I don't know, Daniel Snyder, I don't believe what's written. Now, I'm not saying that the allegations are wrong. I just don't believe what's written. I don't. I'm sorry. I've been involved in these. And every single one, from Bob Knight leaving Indiana to me leaving West Virginia to the recent stuff of some guy, they're always inaccurate. They're always slanted. So I don't personally believe in them. Now, I do like this because I think the idea of staying silent is idiotic. Let's look at the Commander's response to this. Pretty strong. It's highly inappropriate, but not surprising. Now, that's the key right there, that Mr. Irsay opted to make statements publicly based on the falsehoods in the media. Now, the not surprising part is huge here because that's a shot right at Irsay, and I don't blame him. Hey, look, shoot back. It is unfortunate that Mr. Irsay decided to go public with his statement today while an investigation is in process and the team has had no opportunity to formally respond to allegations. The Commanders have made remarkable progress over the past 2 years. Well, the question then is, why do you have to make progress? How about being human beings? We are confident that when he has the opportunity, again, this is a shot at Irsay, to see the actual evidence in this case, Mr. Irsay will conclude that there is no reason for the Snyders to continue selling the franchise, and they won't. Look, this is where I get a kick out of media guys like Nancy Armoire says, hey, you're done, Mr. Irsay. Why? Because you're done, Mr. Snyder, because Jimmy Irsay had a 2-minute press conference? I don't think so. Now, she writes for the USA Today, and she's always angry, but that's media people. You're done, Mr. Irsay, or Mr. Snyder. I don't think so. I don't think this is done. I personally think this is just getting started. Now, the answer to this is, oh, Dakich, I can't see you defending Snyder. I'm not defending Snyder. What I'm saying to you is, hell, I was accused of misogynist conduct because I said I wouldn't get in a pool. Would not with a woman that wasn't my wife. The Indianapolis Star, the lady, I debased her. I know there is crap. I know exactly that there is garbage in the media, that because you are somebody that is easily attacked, and because when you take the other side, like in Indianapolis, now Jimmy Irsay's a hero, and that's great. I don't blame anybody for saying Jimmy Irsay's a hero. It plays, it sells. But Jimmy Irsay's no hero here. Jimmy Irsay, as a billionaire, look, you're mad. We get it. Daniel Snyder said he's digging into the owners. You read it. You heard it. You probably got it verified from one of your little minions running around. But the truth of the matter is, if you were an adult, you keep your mouth quiet, you look at the investigation, and you take care of all this. Jimmy Irsay won yesterday. Oh, my God, everybody and their mother. Jimmy Irsay, you spoke. Oh, my God, Nancy Armoire, you're done, Daniel Snyder. Other media members, he went ham on him. Okay. Like, this isn't YouTube. This isn't Twitter. This is big boy stuff. This is billionaire stuff. They don't care about some article. They don't care about, well, you went ham. Most of the owners, again, my take on it, just from a 5-minute meeting with Jim Irsay, would be like, yeah, I don't care. I mean, the dude's nuts. Do whatever you want. I like the guy, but I don't care. I mean, you say whatever you want. Oh, man, I tell you what, this is good theater. And then, of course, the other one, well, let's show this one. Owners voted 31-1 on Tuesday to permit their compensation committee to open negotiations on a new contract for Roger Goodell. Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft got in a heated exchange. Of course, this is our guy Seth Wickersham from ESPN who got this scoop. So let's read this a little bit. We got a little graphic on the next one. Don't F with me. Robert Kraft's got that honeymoon glow. He's been having the sex for days and days and days. And next thing you know, he's got the toupeed one going crazy on him. And he says, excuse me? And then Jerry Jones says, don't mess with me. Like, what are they going to do to each other? I'm going to short your stock. Ooh. As Dylan said, man, billionaire problems might just be the best problems. They might be. Billionaire problems, it's the Real Housewives of NFL owners. If you watch Real Housewives, they get emotional and they say things. All we need is Jimmy Irsay just to simply flip over a table. All we need is Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones to get nose to nose and then get in a car together and drive off with a camera. And one of them's crying, telling the camera, I can't believe he did that. Honest to God, it's amazing stuff. I love it. Billionaire problems, baby. Will Daniel Snyder lose his team? I don't know. Does Jimmy Irsay have 24 votes? What will happen next with what will happen next with Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft? Tune in next time as Andy Cohen takes you through Real Housewives of NFL owners. Isn't it like, I don't know. Isn't it just a little bit beneath these guys? Just a little bit. I've got 24 owners. Dave Carroll just sent this tweet. How is the NFL holier than thou? Every time you see Elaine Bennis, Ray Lewis out there dancing, just think about that dude. Murder. Blood all over a suit. Even if he didn't do it, he didn't stop it. Joe Mixon, bam. Dante Stallworth, Pac-Man Jones, all hired, all given money by the NFL after their crimes. I remember being at ESPN when Ray Lewis was there, and I went to one of the bosses. I go, you seriously hiring this guy? Like, do we got to move it around a little bit? Do we got to be a little nervous? We got to walk backwards when we're around this dude? I know, but he gyrates. You know, he's got all that dance. He is the Elaine Bennis, swear to God. So now the NFL, and of course, what I just said is going to get this. It already has. Well, that's on brand for Dakich defending Daniel Snyder. No, it's not. No, I got daughters, and that's what I love about Jimmy Irsay. Jimmy Irsay went to the daughters and the granddaughters. I got daughters and granddaughters. Okay. Okay. Look, read the report. Get informed. If you don't want the guy as an owner, you got 24 out of the 32 votes, you go vote him out. It's that simple. It ain't hard. But nobody's got to go Real Housewives of Jimmy Irsay. Doug Gottlieb, can't wait to get his opinion on this. Got a lot to talk about today. We got Doc Gooden coming up at 10 o'clock. Looking forward to talking to arguably the most dominant pitcher, at least for a few years in big league baseball. He's got a son that's playing football. Hey, fellas, can Doug hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
How are you, my friend?
I'm good.
I can hear you. Are you kidding me? Hey, my guy Irsay goes a little bit off. I don't know. You and I live in a world where really going off is a little bit different than what Irsay did. But hey, words hurt, I guess. What'd you think, Ursay? What'd you think of the Real Housewives of Billionaires yesterday?
I thought it was fascinating. It's fascinating theater, right? You almost feel like Daniel Snyder is going to drop an et tu brute on his way out the door. Of all the guys in terms of personal transgressions to go like, hey, Jim Irsay's coming at me? Really? But I actually think if what we're learning is true, and it's likely to be true that he has a dossier on people and he's willing to out people if they try and take his franchise away. Jim Irsay's like, hey, all my stuff's already out there. So like there's nothing you can say about me that I can't say, hey, that was the old me and this is the new me. And, I survived it. So I think that's why he kind of is taking the bullets, or he can take the bullets because of his own transgressions that have become very public.
Do you think, here's what I said. I just said this. Look, read the information. If you got 24 votes, get Snyder out of there. There's 8 bazillion people that line up to buy an NFL franchise. Are you kidding me? Snyder will quadruple, if not 10 times his money. The NFL will be rid of a headache. Hey, read the report, see what you think. And if you got 24 votes, you do. You got 24 votes. But if I'm Snyder, Doug, I'm not giving up very easy. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, he's gripping to this thing, and in many ways you kind of understand it, right? It's like, look, if he's not, the big thing with the allegations is how much is he directly implicated? If he's directly implicated, if the accusations of harassment against him are real and valid, then he's going to have to sell the team. If it's about a culture, I don't know. That's a really, really hard one. It does. I mean, it's pretty obvious there was some level of toxicity in culture. I just don't know if we go around the NFL, what level of toxicity and culture in various parts of organizations we can find. His argument would be, hey, all those people that were accused of those things, they no longer work for the organization. And, there's a clash there, right? There's football culture and there's culture in 2022 and what's acceptable. Most of these things, the accusations, were not acceptable in the last 25 years anyway, no matter your workplace. But again, what are accusations and what are kind of provable things? And what did he know? When did he know it? What did he do about it? It's very, very simple. And I think making statements in the press when we don't have the full variety of findings, and it's not truly public, it just makes us seem uninformed. And but I think that the big thing yesterday was this doesn't happen. Generally, owners don't speak out against other owners. And I think that's why everybody's reacting like, oh, there really is. Because they've been trying to get his franchise for a decade, right? I mean, he's never been really liked, let alone beloved. But I would say this really traces back to when they wanted him to change the nickname, and he stuck his heels in the ground and refused for, close to a decade before ultimately acquiescing.
Doug, one of the things, and I'm glad you brought up what it's really about, because, I was saying on my show, I know 5 different people, 3 women, 2 guys, or maybe it's the other way. Yeah, it's the other way around, that hired private investigators when they were going through divorces. I mean, I did. So, what do media guys do when they don't like you or they don't like me, or they try to dig up dirt? So this isn't about, maybe Jimmy Irsay's comments were in response to digging up dirt, which clearly they were. But the NFL getting rid of him isn't about hiring private investigators. I mean, hell, private investigators get hired because Susie down the street wants to know what cheating Jimmy is doing in a hotel room when he's gone. This is about workplace environment, right? I mean, that's what this is truly about.
I think it's become about that. I think that left the door open for him to lose his team. I truly believe, Dan, that this. I remember when he first got the team, he charged people to come and see training camp, right? And it just set people off. He had all these. He was very, very different. But I think this course was set when it wasn't just that he didn't want to change the nickname. It was his defiance, some of his rhetoric, the way in which he approached it. because in all honesty, he had the backing of so many Native Americans and so many different polls of Native Americans over the years. Some of it was dated data, and some of it we've changed how we've looked at the name Redskins. But that his level of defiance and his inability to see anybody else's side or perspective on it and simply want to stick with the brand because the name Redskins and the brand of the Redskins was so embedded in the culture of Washington, D.C. sports fans for years. I think that set the course to here. And then once it was discovered that there was this massive issue of culture within his front office, and you had sophomoric behavior from guys who are executives, that gave them the means, if you will, to get his team. But I think the motive really comes back to the nickname, the defiance, and the lack of any sort of desire to read a room over how things were trending. Again, it doesn't mean that you have to acquiesce and bow to anybody's whims of changing a name, but it's how he handled it. That was the impetus of it. And then the means were opened up because apparently they were running a like a mini frat house over there. And when you get caught and people don't like you, and then he tries to do hey, no, my wife's running the team. I got nothing to do with it. My wife's running the team. Ultimately, they're gonna get you. And Jim Irsay saying that, I do think that's a seminal moment, because it shows that if Jim Irsay can, and look, and you obviously know Jim a lot better than I do, and then most of us do nationally. But my guess is that when he says it, he's speaking for a lot of people that don't talk out of their rectum as sometimes Jim Irsay does talk out of his rectum.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And I think one of the things that I did like, because if you've been involved in stories, I've been involved in stories, and they just haven't simply always been true. They've been slanted. And, in my world that I look at, Daniel Snyder is a billionaire. Daniel Snyder has had this for 10 years. Daniel Snyder appears to be defiant in what his statement was, which is basically, we're not selling. But with 24 votes, it's not up to Snyder, right? They can vote him out, is the way I understand this. 24 of 32 vote, they can get you out of there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're like a franchisee for a Sonic, or for, you pick whoever sells franchisees. So, look, my guess is that he'll have to sell, and that the price tag will be the most expensive franchise in the history of American sports. Even though they need a new stadium. That's an incredibly powerful and popular team that's been successful in one of the biggest media markets in the country. And, he'll get $6 billion for his troubles, if something along that. But he's been the defiance in his statement is no different than the defiance in all of his statements. All of this is Dan Snyder 101. The difference is, and the reason you asked me about it, is because Irsay is the first owner to say, hey, I think we got the votes. And I don't think, as much as he does say he talks out of his ass sometimes, I don't think he's talking out of his ass this time.
No,
I think the threats,
I agree.
And again, I don't know, who knows? We got something against Jerry Jones yesterday that came out. I'm sure he's got a dossier on Jerry Jones. And Jerry Jones may just be so old and powerful that it doesn't matter anymore. You get to that level to where you're like, it's just Jerry being Jerry. I don't know. I mean, I'm here for the billionaire fight. I'm here for all the dirty details of all the stuff these dudes have going on, because I mean, if you look at it now, Dan Snyder, there's one accusation of him acting inappropriately that I've read of. Right. This is not the first rodeo for Jerry Jones. And it would be an interesting conundrum for the NFL. Like, hey, we're going to get rid of Dan Snyder when there were other guys that got fired that were doing these things, whereas Jerry's personally accused of things. So that part gets interesting. And I kind of like watching from the side. But my best guess is at some point, maybe not now, maybe not into the summer, or maybe we come out of whatever recession or downturn in the economy we're in, that sucker is going to be sold and the number is going to be astronomical. Because the way to get rid of him is not just the owners. The way to get rid of him is don't approve it. He has to have a new stadium. And if you don't let him have a new stadium and they don't let him, he's not going to leave the market, then he's kind of screwed. It's another way to, it's like taking somebody's sponsors away. Instead, you're taking the stadium away. That's your real revenue generator for the next 25 years.
You know, one of the things I do get a kick out of, and Jimmy Irsay probably is the right guy to speak on it, Doug, because he does have a reverence. But I get a kick out of the whole, you know, we're protecting the shield thing, and this is what the NFL is all about. Just stop with that crap. I mean, it sounds good and people buy it, but just how many how many Pac-Man Joneses and Ray Lewis's, I just stop with that stuff to me.
You almost wish the commissioner, when somebody would ask him about, like, you know, some of this behavior of players and whatever, he would just go like, look, this is go Godfather line. This is the business we've chosen, you know? And you have to understand it. Like, think of the confluences, Double D. You have billionaires, okay? And I think most people think that when you become a billionaire, you can do whatever you want. I think that's one of the great things about wanting to be a billionaire is when you can do whatever you want. Then you have super, super talented. Many are very, very bright, but very young football players with a ton of money, right? They're in a gladiatorial sport where even though we're trying to take some of the violence out of it, it's controlled violence, controlled chaos in it. You know, then you mix the fact that it's the most popular sport in our country and they do have a week off. They only play 17 games. Like, there's a lot of reasons why we should see these disasters coming. Wait, so what? Wait. You mean a 24-year-old is going to be making $20 million a year? He's going to get paid to hit and hurt people. He's going to lift weights and pump his body and play in this testosterone-filled sport. And we're supposed to be surprised when dudes step out of line, like, you know, and they've been told yes their whole lives from time they're middle school, high school, into college, into pros. Like, I don't know why we didn't see this coming, but it's a powder keg and occasionally it explodes. And then we have to go, ho, the shield is important. We have to be reputable. It's a Fortune 500 company in business. And we got to pretend like we have morals and ethics that supersede athletic dominance and winning.
You know, my wife and I love it. I watch, you know, Your Town. I watch The Real Housewives of the OC. I do. I watch The Real Housewives of Beverly
real.
Hills.
That's exactly how my lifestyle. That's exactly my lifestyle is. I go to dinners and I talk ish on everybody, and that's it's a very real lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, let me tell you something. They get the Real Housewives of Atlanta. They ain't afraid of each other. They get after it. This is just, in my opinion, just kind of like a Real Housewives. You got Jerry Jones going. Robert Kraft can't even have a few days of a honeymoon, this guy. He can't even bask in the glow of a marriage, and Jerry Jones is
all I got
at
was
him.
a massage in Miami one time, and I just want to get married.
Right. Leave me alone. Come on. Hey, NBA started. I have said this. You can tell me I'm insane, but I've talked to 7 head coaches in different sports, and I would be an 8th, I guess. I've never seen a punch like that from Draymond Green in a practice. Urban Meyer and I hung out for a weekend last weekend, and he's like, Dan, you know I had guys. Like, we had dudes in Florida. Like, and he goes, I saw, you know, that never, ever. I think good for Golden State, I suppose. What was your take on the whole punch and then subsequent fine?
I can't believe they didn't suspend him. It does lead me to wonder, and I don't know if you ever heard this expression in our business, when somebody does something, they don't fire them, they're like, hey, keep your job, lose your career, sort of thing. You know, and you've seen this in, again, people in our business, and I've seen another business where, like, we're not going to fire you right now, but we're not going to renew you, you know? And I get the sense of that with Golden State, right? Like, all the things, don't get me wrong, he provides them the intangible of toughness and intelligence as a basketball player, selflessness on the offensive side of the ball, versatility defensively. I'm not sure if he's replaceable, but I'm also I kind of think that Golden State's going to try and figure out if he is replaceable. I mean, they had to re-up 3 guys, and they re-up 2 of them. The one they didn't re-up was Draymond Green. So, and I guess we can kind of see what his behavior's like. In regards to the punch, that was violent, vicious. I don't know how you come back from that. I don't know how you shake hands with a guy pregame a couple weeks later, like, oh, we're cool. I'm not cool with anybody who cold cocks me in the face when we're practicing. We're like, that's just a level to which we're not cool anymore. And like you, like I got fighting in practice with Joe Atkins and Brian Montanati, 2 of my best friends in the entire world. We got into scraps. It happens. But I didn't go and stand over a guy, or in this case, probably stand under a guy who's smaller than him. And then, the second it got a little weird, just cold cock punch a dude in the face. Like that's a level of violence that I'm not really accustomed to. And, you're really lucky you didn't break. First, you could have obviously hurt him, hitting his head, could have broken his jaw, could have broken your own hand. It's the old nuclear loose, like punch a dude with your opposite hand. There's a bunch of different. And to anyone who's thought that might have been coming, look at everybody else in the video. No one else was thought there was some sort of beef that was going to that level. So he went from 0 to 11 in no time at all. I was really surprised that Golden State didn't suspend him. I mean, Bobby Portis got 8 games. I know he sent Mirotic to the hospital, and Mirotic missed, I think, 23. And the whole thing is well, we wanted him there for the ring ceremony. He could be there for the ring ceremony in cities, right? Even more embarrassing to him. We know what he did. But I do think that the ultimate punishment of not re-upping him and having to be in the same locker room as those guys who just got paid, I think there's something to that and an intelligence to that, because that's what really, really matters to dudes. And maybe that's what Golden State's ultimate punishment is.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's interesting because, as you said, they just re-upped Wiggins yesterday, and they re-upped Poole right after that. So there really isn't. Yeah. You're right.
There's 3 guys.
You're
there's 3
exactly
guys.
Right.
3 guys that were up for extensions, and everybody's like, "Are they going to pay the biggest tax bill ever?" And they re-upped 2 of them, and the one they didn't re-up is Draymond Green. So, I mean, I actually like that. I actually like we're good. No, you're good. We're not going to overreact. We just probably not our long-term plans. And it is something that's something to have Jordan Poole's back. It's like, hey, we don't just say we have your back. We're going to re-up you. We're not going to re-up him right now. And let's see how it goes. It's got to be weird though. I mean, I just can't imagine. And we've all worked with people who, I guess you find out maybe later, and sometimes in the moment didn't like us. I just kind of keep going about my business, but it is awkward. And I don't know what that locker room's like. It's got to be super weird. And maybe we don't know until they go through a bad stretch. Obviously didn't go through a bad stretch playing against the Lakers last night.
Hey, last thing. Where are you on your show and other places? Do you even NFL officiating is making me crazy because every time I watch a good play, I look for a flag. It's gotten me nuts, Doug. I watch a game. You know how certain things can get in your brain? Like when I watched A.J. Guyton play basketball for Indiana, I hated it because he stood around, took bad shots at the end of the clock, but I couldn't watch anything else. I can't watch anything else in the NFL than if the flag is coming. It's driving me nuts, Doug.
I mean, Monday night was awful. That crew was so bad in terms of how many flags they threw. I mean, between Russell Wilson looking washed up, the Chargers trying to charger, right? The Chargers signed J.C. Jackson, and he personally gave him 13 points. Gave Broncos 13 points. He was J.C. Jackson was Denver's offensive MVP, and he only played a half. But the officiating supersedes it. I do think that there's a couple things. I was watching the NBA last night, and I was thinking it, and I was like, it's almost as if the NFL officiating so bad, and the NBA officials like, hey, people forget how bad we are. Okay. Did you see this really happened last night? Okay, it really happened. Joel Embiid drives, misses a wide open layup. They call a foul. I think they might have called a foul on Al Horford. Jason Tatum says that's bull bleep, whatever, and just holds up his hands like he didn't get a foul, right? They give Jason Tatum a technical foul. The Celtics challenged the call. This really happened. They challenged the call. Watch the replay. There was no foul. It was a terrible call. But guess what does stay? The technical foul. It's like, hey, we know we're terrible. You're not allowed to point out we're terrible. And when you point out we're terrible and replay shows that we're terrible, we're still going to penalize you for telling us we missed one, even though we actually missed one. It's bizarre. As far as the NFL, again, this is the how do we not see this coming? Like this idea that we're going to protect the future of football players who all signed up to play the most violent sport. Like we don't do this in MMA, right? They don't stop and go, hold on. I mean, you've seen some of the gashes, like, that could cause brain damage 20 years from now in the future. No, why? Because those psychopaths signed up to be the toughest mamma jammas on earth and go and fight people in the octagon. So do these football players. And we're like trying to protect them when even the quarterback's like, this is too much. It's like basketball is a contact sport. Football is a collision sport. And if you make rules, there's a reasonable nature to rules. And then there's the unreasonable nature to how the rules are applied. And we've gotten to the unreasonable part. Like, how do you tackle a quarterback? I thought, and I don't know if you follow Chris Long on social. He does these fridge chats. And he did one, and I thought this was great. He's like, if you can't take hitting a quarterback, sacking a quarterback out of football. That's a core of what people watch for. It's a core of the game. It changed the sport dramatically. And that's what you got to be very careful of what you're doing, because you're going to change the sport forever. And I think that's what we need to be cautious of. The Tua thing was bad. It's next to the Ryan Shazier injury. It's the worst standalone game injury I've seen in 20 years. But I also think that, like, look, dude, it's just a bad when he got ragdolled. I think the turf's a big issue. Nobody points out the turf. There's 14% more injuries on the turf. All this head trauma, almost all of them are when they hit that turf. The field turf is way better than the AstroTurf, but it's still not regular grass. I think that's an issue there, But yes, to go back to your original question, it's hard to watch. It usually evens out. It does. I mean, we remember this. Remember the college basketball year, like freedom of movement? And oh my God, I couldn't watch this. I can't broadcast this game because all we do is tell stories at free throws. And I'm out of stories like midway through the first half. And I do a lot of research, so I got a lot of stories and I can talk. It usually does. It usually evens out by about mid-season. So let's hope. Let's hope. Where are you on the Colts? You're all over the place on the Colts. Yeah. Are they good? I cannot figure. There's a team I cannot figure out.
I love them now. Hey, look, I'm very clear. I hate them when they lose, and I like them when they win. Look, to me, the NFL is about one thing, and that's winning. I don't want to hear Chris Ballard's a great drafter. I don't want to hear Frank Reich. Yeah. No, when you win, I like you. When you lose, you suck. You don't do it. But, hey, I've had guys.
Listen. I've had guys. I'm with you. My team's the Chargers, and I love those guys. And the front office is awesome, and they built an amazing roster. Okay, but I can't watch this stuff anymore. Like and they're 4-2, and I don't even think they played like one good game so far. They were better than. But I'm with you. My levels of.
I can't. Hey, here's the deal. I try to look at things realistically, and Matt Ryan, who was god-awful, but they won, all he does with the Colts is put him in position in the fourth quarter. And, Doug, that's what a quarterback's supposed to do, in my opinion. Like, take it down the field, even though it's a crap game against the Chiefs and you got lucky because Chris Jones is an idiot. You get lucky, but you still take him down the field. Take him down the field and win the game. Look, I'm not saying that he's not old, and I'm not saying he's not a statue, but I am saying the dude at the end of the game, when I'm watching, and I watch every minute, when he gets time late, he's pretty daggone good late, and I like that. So I've come to like him this week and last week. If they lose this week, I'm going to the game. I'm done with them. Screw them.
It's the best. I will tell you, it's the old, if you don't have a quarterback, you ain't got anything. right? And Matt Ryan used to be a dude. He's clearly not anymore. The brain still functions at a high level. I'm not sure the arm and body does. But that quarterback purgatory they've been in since Andrew Luck went out, that's been a hard one. Not for lack of trying.
2
right?
weeks. 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I want you to come back and you're going to say to me, you know what, Dan? Matt Ryan is probably not going to win the MVP, but he's going to be in the top 7 in the discussion in 2 weeks. I'm telling you, in 2 weeks.
Top 7.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
5 to 7. I'll narrow it.
5 to 7. What? 5 to 7 in his division?
No. One MVP, right?
Do I need to go? Huh?
One MVP. There's just one.
He does have one MVP with Kyle Shanahan. With
No.
the Atlanta Falcons.
No. I'm saying there's only one MVP in the NFL.
There's only one.
There's not
No, I
AFC.
understand. I was being sarcastic towards your. He's going to be a 5 to 7 in the end. I would gladly take some money off you if you would like to leave. And I know you're going over the top.
No betting. This is all philosophy. There's no. Hey, he goes in this week, beats the Titans.
I know it's not betting. And I don't know if it's still that number, if you can still get it because the season started. But the Lakers at 45.5 wins. If you haven't taken the under yet, and that line hasn't moved, then you're not paying attention. They're not winning 45 games. It's not happening.
Really?
Yeah, they're not winning 45 games.
Really?
In the West?
45 out of 82? Are they still playing 82 or 72?
Playing 82. They're playing 82. Well, they're scheduled to play 82. Nobody actually plays 82, right? So, because that would be difficult to show up to your job every day and do your job every day.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Yes. I took the Pacers over.
What are the Pacers at?
23.5. I like their young group. I kind of like them.
Plus, dudes
23.5.
are going to go out before they play the Pacers. I think that's reasonable. It's totally reasonable. Like, look, you got to figure it this way. That's the Lakers roster they don't really play defense. They're not better. LeBron's still very good, but he's not the same defensively. And he's going to take, 5 to 10 games off at least. Okay, so those 5 to 10 games off because the way they build a team, they have very little shot. Anthony Davis, the idea he's going to stay healthy the whole season, come on. So you take any one of those two, and the roster is just not competitive. Westbrook doesn't play much defense, and their bench is not particularly good. I don't see them winning. And the West is stacked. And they're still the Lakers, and he's still LeBron, so they're still everybody's biggest game, right? They're still the toughest stick in town. So you get everybody's best effort. As opposed to the Pacers, who, if you're going to play the Pacers the next night, you're like, you guys want to go out and have a couple beers? Like, we play the Pacers. Okay, right? So I'm with you. I think that's part of it. You already play the Lakers, you're like, dude, I got to worry about tickets. I got to worry about my hair. NBA guys got to worry about what they wear in that walk up, when they walk into the gym from their car. That's apparently important. I didn't know. And then just LeBron and hooping, and they come out focused. So yeah, they're not better than Memphis. They're not better than Denver. They're not better than Golden State. They're not better than the Clippers. They're not better than the Timberwolves. Did I say the Nuggets? And they're not better than the Suns. They're not better than the Pelicans. Pelicans are really good. Assuming Zion stays healthy, looks like he's in shape. I don't know. Dallas, Luka's better at this point in his career than LeBron is. So I don't know. It's not crazy to think Dallas is they're equal or better. So they're not winning 45.5 games. Take the under.
See, I'm always a believer in LeBron, but I also I just saw this yesterday. I didn't know this. Is this 20 years?
20
years in the NBA?
He's the one guy you're like, I'm not taking a game off. You're good. You've been doing it for 20 years. 20 years.
Man.
Amazing.
All right, brother.
That's not a great basket. All right, 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Matt Ryan. I got people already saying, hey, I quit your show after you said Matt Ryan will be in the top 7. 2 weeks. Telling you.
Can't wait for my steak dinner that you did or did not gamble upon. Talk to you later.
See you, brother. That's the great Doug Gottlieb right there. Take the Lakers under 45. I'm going to do it right now. If Doug says it, I'm doing it. That was good stuff. That was fun stuff. Doc Gooden coming up. Look, Jimmy Irsay lost his mind. Are we mad about it? Like, hey, look, I get it. I'm not saying Jimmy Irsay's the wrong guy to talk about it because of his past. Hell no, he's the perfect guy to talk about it because of his past. Of course he is. He's the one guy that should talk about it because he's the one guy that's like, look, what are you going to find out about me? But you know what? Unless you've done something that puts you in jail, shouldn't all these NFL guys be like, hey, man, find out what you want? Dylan said it best. We got billionaire problems. We got stone cold billionaire problems. And I'm here for it. I am. I'm not going to lie. I am here for it. All right, last night, couple things. How about both Judge and Stanton? How about those two guys stepping up at the biggest moments? How about Stanton with a bomb and then Judge with a solo Johnson? And next thing you know, the pitching holds up. Cortez, he holds up to start it out, and they get a win over the Indians. Hey, look, if you're the Yankees, no rest for the weary. Today, they got to go to Houston and take on what's become a really good rivalry, and it should be a fun series. But if you're a Yankee fan, this is what you paid for. Game 5, best batting stance in baseball is Giancarlo Stanton, right? So Giancarlo Stanton hits a home run, and then Judge does the same damn thing. How about that? How great is that? And then Schwarber hits a ball harder than any ball. I heard this last night, 119.5 miles an hour. Somebody told me last night that it was, at least when I was driving, that it was the hardest hit ball in baseball history. Now, I don't know if I believe that. I have no idea. I don't know. You know, you can tell me it was. I don't know. But how about also this? You want to talk about stars showing up. Schwarber, star. People don't realize he was second in the home run chase this year. Second. Hey, by the way, Doc Gooden had to cancel. He's got emergency with his son, apparently. I just got the news on that. But we will continue to rock and roll. All right, here's another deal. So you hit a ball farther than one's ever been hit in Petco, 488 feet. Think about that. Schwarber, the Cubs let him go, bam, bam, whatever you want to call him. So he hits a bomb, ball's out of the park, world's insane. And next thing you know, Schwarber and the Phillies get one win, and now they have home field advantage, which in baseball is all right. But damn, was that good. All right, how about this? Black Friday games, the NFL has announced, are going to be on Amazon Prime. But before we do that, I want to go back to something. Hey, fellas, I've screwed this up. I want to go back to, actually, when we come back at 10, I'm going to go through some on-the-street interviews with Yankees fans. So here's the deal. Let's make sure we have that at 10 o'clock. Amazon gets the first Black Friday game. Don't tell me, Jimmy Irsay, don't give me this crap about the Shield. It ain't about the Shield. It's about the Benjamins. You got games on Monday, Thursday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Day, Black Friday. Hell, you'd have a game on Independence Day, and you will eventually. You'll eventually move the damn Canton game all the way over to the 4th of July. Don't even at me about it, people. Don't even try to at me about it, people. You know that's coming. You do. You know that's coming. We all know that's coming. So don't at me. Man, the NFL, I'll listen. But don't even try that crap with me. All right. When we come back, I want the flip-flopping Fauci. Let's go Fauci when we come back, and also Yankees fans when we come back. Doc Gooden had a family emergency. He had to back out. So I'm going to go back to something else. Let's look at, if you don't mind, can we put the graphic of the Commanders' response to Jimmy Irsay yesterday. Can we put that up? I want to go through something with you here. See, when somebody in the media or somebody in ownership or somebody on TV or somebody, a player, is on the right side of the media loves what they have to say. So Jimmy Irsay is the first owner to ever call out another owner. Jimmy Irsay, by doing that, becomes the darling of every little media person, which then becomes the darling of fans that actually pay attention to said media person. But this is how I look at it. And I may look at it wrong, and you probably look at it right. But here's how I look at it. I look at it like this. This is an attack on Irsay, and this is probably more accurate than what Irsay had to say. It is highly inappropriate. Let me go right there. There's an investigation going on, and every other owner said, hey, look, we got an investigation. Keep that up there, please. We got an investigation. We're going to investigate. We will comment once the investigation is going on, but not surprising. What that means is that the group, Daniel Snyder mostly, knew that the owners were talking about this. They knew that the owners wanted somebody to take the fall, and they threw the not surprising in because of that, but they also threw it in to take a shot at Jimmy Irsay. Because right after, they say that Mr. Irsay opted to make statements publicly based on falsehoods in the media. Now, here's what they do with that. When you say falsehoods in the media, that just makes the media members come at you more. However, it also puts doubt in the validity of the story of Seth Wickersham and ESPN. It does. Because we all have learned not to believe the written print media. We have also learned that this side talks this way, that side talks that way, and very rarely is there somebody in the middle. So we've learned this. Put doubt in your mind about the media. So that's what they're doing here. So, while an investigation is in progress, again, this means that nothing has been solved. This means that he shouldn't have, because most people understand there's an investigation. How about you learn what the investigation shows before you comment, which is reasonable? All right? It's unfortunate that Mr. Irsay decided to go public with his statements while an investigation is in progress, and the team has had no opportunity to formally respond to the allegations. Formally is the key here. Because people are going to say, well, of course you had opportunity to respond. All you got to do is go on this same site. All you got to do is get your group together, and all you got to do is put out a statement. But here's the deal. When there is an investigation and legal proceedings going on, you got to be a little careful. Because as we all know, lawyers can flip any word that they would like. Next thing you know, what you said maybe as an innocuous statement shows up in a deposition or shows up in a trial, and you don't want that. That's the word formally. This is interesting. The Commanders have made remarkable progress over the last 2 years. Well, last 2 years, Daniel Snyder purportedly gave up running the team to his wife, which, of course, makes it more woman-friendly, which, of course, lessens the idea that, as Doug Gottlieb said, that this is a frat house environment, which has been alleged. Now, my question is, hey, dude, you've owned the team since '99. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? That the last 2 years you finally decided to clean up violating women, being nasty to women? What are you doing? Why now? So let's continue. All right, the last 2 years, you've owned it since '99. Now, I guess because you paid fines, we're going to give you a pass. I suppose. I'm not. People aren't, but that's the thought here. We are confident that when the opportunity to see the actual evidence in this case, now what they're saying is Jimmy Irsay hadn't seen squat. What they're saying there is Jimmy Irsay just talked out of his backside. That's exactly what they're saying. You can't couch that any other way than Jim Irsay is talking out of his dupayage. All right, Mr. Irsay, let me go back. We are confident that when he has the opportunity to see the actual evidence in this case, they are telling you Mr. Irsay will conclude there's no reason for the Snyders to consider selling the franchise, and they won't. What they're saying is Jimmy Irsay is speaking out of his rear end. What they're saying is Jimmy Irsay hasn't seen the evidence in this case. What they're saying is that Jimmy Irsay is a loose cannon and you're not to listen to him. Now, I don't know whether he is or not. Maybe Jimmy Irsay had somebody study all this. I don't know. But they're saying that he hasn't. So what they're doing is they're putting reasonable doubt in the minds of people, not in guilt or innocence, although they are claiming innocence. What they are doing is they are putting reasonable doubt in the mind of you and me, the court of public opinion. And then at the end, and they won't, that's awesome. Look, you may agree with Daniel Snyder. I've said I think he's a dirtbag, but I'm not acquiescent to you folks. I'm not bowing to Jimmy Irsay. I'm not bowing to any of you guys. Stop it. We won't. We can't. We're not. We're not selling. And they won't. Pretty good. Pretty strong. Interesting statement. I like the statement. Statements are always more interesting than what the actual accusations are. The accusations get all the headline because, look, in my city, everybody, we got the greatest owner. And we do. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Irsay. I think he's a terrific owner. I think he's one of those owners that you go, hey, glad we got him. But if Jimmy Irsay spoke out of his dupayage and hasn't seen the actual evidence, then he's a fool. Then he's no different than any other, National Enquirer. He's no different than any other media-seeking guy. And if, in fact, the Shield is that important, which Jimmy Irsay actually called, if you can believe this, he actually called NFL owners world leaders. World leaders. Okay, we're world leaders. No, you're not. No. Maybe at one point, maybe, but not always. And don't hit me with the Shield. Don't hit me with the Shield. I don't want to hear about the Shield. Here's the deal with the Shield. Don't employ Pac-Man Jones after he got arrested 1,000 times. Don't employ Joe Mixon after he beat the hell out of a woman. I don't want to see Ray Lewis representing the Baltimore Ravens after he got accused of not one, but 2 murders, had blood on his stuff. It's all in the court case if you'd like to see it. So stop with all that, okay? Just do me a favor, do yourself a favor, and stop with all that, the Shield. Don't have guys that abuse women playing. Don't let guys that have been arrested 8 times, 9 times, 10 times, don't let them play. If it is, thank you, Lee, if it is all about the Shield. Don't bring the Shield up when you have got domestic violence abusers. Greg Hardy, after beating his girlfriend/wife, throwing her on a stack of guns. Guns, automatic weapons is what Greg Hardy did. Now let's be honest here. You throw your girlfriend down, you should not play in the NFL. You beat your girlfriend, throw her down on a stack of guns, and you post it, you probably should be in jail. So I don't want to hear at all, even a little bit, about the damn Shield. Stop it. Jimmy Irsay, I think, is not one of those guys, I don't think, that ended up on third base and thought he hit a triple. I don't think he's one of those guys. But I will say, yesterday showed he might be one of those guys. And again, did they know it was coming? Of course they knew it was coming. Did the Commanders know? Daniel Snyder is in those meetings with those other guys. I'll tell you something else. Whoever leaked, and maybe it was Jerry Jones, or maybe it was maybe it was Robert Kraft. I don't know. But whoever leaked the fact that Daniel that Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft had a heated exchange that Seth Wickersham should be fired and fired right now. Honest to God. All right, I got some video for you from last night over at Yankee Stadium. You're going to like it. I do. We're going to show that. Doc Gooden was supposed to be here, but Doc Gooden had a family emergency. I got What the Hell Wednesday coming up. I'm looking at him right now, the Zappy kid, 24-34. All right, we'll be right back.
Hey, it's Hutton from Outkick 360. If you couldn't catch the show yesterday, here's what you missed.
Story coming out of New York. Owners' meeting's going on right now in New York, correct? This is 1 minute ago.
Armando's there.
Jonathan Jones, who's an NFL insider, just tweeted this out. Colts owner Jim Irsay just said of Dan Snyder, quote, "I believe there is merit to remove him as an owner of the Commanders." To my knowledge, that's the first fellow owner speaking out and saying there is merit to have someone removed as an owner.
And that's a massive statement. Now, does somebody seeing him say that now feel more comfortable saying it? And is that the beginning of chipping away to get to the 3/4 or 2/3 that's required? Or is he a standalone maverick who says
he seems
that
more like
looks like a
standalone
pro?
maverick than a lot of the
he's
guys in the
generally
league.
a standalone maverick, or a maverick in a lot of ways.
So
But
you said, Chad?
Irsay.
Oh, Irsay.
Jim Irsay is the one who has the quote that I believe there is merit to remove him as owner. And now every NFL insider, including Armando, quoting that tweet.
This is somewhere middle of the season, November, I think, November-ish. I think this is against the Bengals. And it's 2nd and 4. I said it was like they needed 10 yards. It's 2nd and 4, and Delaney runs an out. Delaney, just tell me what you see. Do you remember the play?
Yeah, I think it was Omaha or something like that.
Okay.
And
they renamed it Hutton.
Yeah, so he, again, right at the sticks, and then
boom.
I'm done.
You see, I'm looking like, oh, no.
Yeah.
When you recognized who it was, you felt bad.
Yeah.
He's got a smile, a dazed smile on his face, right?
Well, look at me.
Concussion protocol.
Yeah, well, in today's NFL, I'd be in concussion protocol.
Yeah, red hat.
Then
There would have been a spotter up top, a neurologist that said, this guy right here in the pea coat needs to be taken off the field right now.
So as we continue to just let this roll, my thought in the moment, Chad was asking me about this and why I didn't get out of the way, because I'm standing in the diamond where the parabolic microphones stand, and this guy, I believe the Parab guy, moves out of the way.
Yeah.
And well, he's right behind me. And Malarkey's the one who moved out of the way. And I'm where I'm supposed to be. I didn't want to move because I thought you would go left or right, and I was going to go right into you. I remember thinking that. And then I also remember what you told me right there, which is, dude, I just effing trucked you. We're discussing the sports topics you care about from every angle. Catch me, Chad Withrow, and Paul Kuharsky each weekday afternoon, 3 to 6 Eastern, right here at Outkick.com. Stay with us on the Outkick Network.
Look, billionaires fighting billionaires will never, ever, ever, ever get old. It just won't. I'm just saying, it just will never, ever, 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 ever get old. All right. Neither will What the Hell Wednesday. Let me go through a couple things for you. And tell me what you think. So you're 49 years old. I think this is the first one, unless I missed it. Yes, I did. You got to see this video. You got to see this video of a mountain climber fighting off a bear. What, Dakich? You got to see it. Take a look right now. Take a look at this. This is unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, am I on the air? I'm crapping myself. I'm sorry. Like, I do that anyway. But can you imagine? All right, let's go through that. Not only if you fall, you die because you're on a mountain, but here comes a bear, and then the bear leaves, and then it comes back. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what to tell you, but that's insanity to me. Like, I don't know how you feel about that, but when I get this tingling in my legs, like, holy cow. Like, whoa. All right, now I don't know what to tell you on this one. This is unbelievable. This next one is truly incredible. So, a lady decides that she, for whatever the reason, is going to take her neighbor's toddler on a vacation. Now, let me ask you a simple question. What would you do here? What would you do if your neighbor decided, hey, look, I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to go. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take your kid with me. Now, let's be honest. You got to be a little bit insane to do this. At least she admitted that it was a mistake. I took my neighbor's toddler on vacation without telling her. It was a mistake. A British babysitter has gone viral with a video on TikTok about how she once took her neighbor's toddler on vacation for a week. This idiot said when she was a 21 or 22-year-old newlywed, she would help the neighbors with their 2-year-old boy. You could look after my son and you would mind having him overnight because I'm going to go away for the evening, the babysitter recalled the neighbor asking. Problem was, I was going on holiday on Tuesday. Monday comes along. She drops off this little boy. He's lovely. He stayed overnight. Early Tuesday morning, we're all packed up in the car. I plopped him in the car seat. We drove off to London. We lived in Birmingham, stayed in a hotel, got to the hotel to get us a little cot, and that's what she did. She said, we did not communicate properly. He was so lovely, I got him food and bought him extra nappies. The mother hasn't sent enough nappies for the week, so I just went through the week with this little lad. During the week, I took him to the zoo, walked around Hyde Park. We had a blast. He loved it, slept well, didn't cry. Everything was great. The woman said she was unable to call because she didn't have a cell phone. She'd only spoken with the mother in person, didn't have her number. I bought postcards. Every day I wrote a postcard, posted at her address, so she'd know everything was okay. The toddler's unexpected trip was well received by the parents. So lovely of you, really wonderful. I do have to say, let's give it. Yeah, let's do it.
Seeing as you asked, this is the biggest mistake I ever made in my life. I was like 20 years old, newly married, lived next door to a family with a toddler. He was like 2. And I used to look after him sometimes, babysit for a couple of hours, help his mum out. Then, one day she came over to me and she said, could you look after my son? And would you mind having him overnight? Because I'm going to go away for the evening. I said, yeah, no problem. We know each other really well. That would be great. Problem is, I said, I'm actually going on holiday on Tuesday. And she wanted Monday night. Like, going on holiday on Tuesday for a week. And she said, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I said, okay, great. We did not communicate properly. So Monday comes along, she drops off this sweet little boy. He's really lovely. He stayed overnight. Early Tuesday morning, we all packed up in the car. I popped him in his car seat. We drove off to London. We lived in Birmingham, right? All the way to London. Stayed in a hotel. I got the hotel to give us a little cot. He was so lovely. Got him food and bought some extra nappies. She hadn't sent enough nappies for the week. And just kind of went through the week with this little lad, and he was really sweet, and he had such a fun time. He didn't really seem to miss his mum that much. He knew me well, took him out places. I was in London because my husband was working, so during the day I took him to the zoo, walked around Hyde Park. We had a blast. I mean, he loved it. He slept really well. I didn't cry at night. Everything was great. I was like in my element. I loved kids. I was like, oh, I could pretend to be a mummy. Everything was brilliant. Then at the end of the week, oh, I forgot to say, during the week, this was like 1991, so there was no mobile phones. So I didn't even know the woman's phone number. She'd been my next door neighbour, so I'd only ever gone over and talked to her. And I thought, oh no, I don't have a phone with me, and I don't have her number. So I bought postcards, and every day I wrote a postcard, posted it to her address, just so she'd know everything was okay and the kid was fine, and so she wouldn't worry. Anyway, so I come back, end of the week, pull up into the driveway, and she comes out, she sees the car coming up, she comes out all smiles, and she's like, oh, my boy, picked him up, gave him a hug. She said, oh, so lovely of you, really wonderful. She said, I do have to say something though. She said, when I said, that's fine, I meant I'll come back Tuesday morning before you go and get him. Didn't actually mean for you to take him on holiday for the whole week. Well, thank God I sent the postcards, because, you know, she trusted me enough for like 24 hours, and then the first postcard arrived, and she was like, okay. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Can't believe I took your kid. She's like, no, I had a great time. Thanks. Lovely break for the week.
People are nuts. I mean, that's all I got. You guys may have something else into that lovely story, I suppose, but people are insane. Who takes another person's child for a week? All right, let's go to the next one. Let's show it. Han Solo. Now, you guys are all into Han Solo, a life-size Han Solo out of bread. One House Bakery, Benica, California. Guy spent weeks molding, baking, and assembling a life-size structure using wood and 2 types of dough, including a type of yeastless dough. Hey, people, what are you doing? I'm going to make Han Solo out of bread. Me too. People are weird, man. I'm telling you, people are out of their mind. I don't have an answer for that. I get it. People love Star Wars. People love Star Trek. But I'm not making a Han Solo out of bread. All right. Randy Rochelle, North Dakota State. Listen to this. North Dakota State College of Science. 49 years old, and my man is playing football in college. Now, we've all seen Rodney Dangerfield's Back to School. We've all talked about it. I had a player at Indiana when I was interim head coach, and his dad's like, hey, Dan, once I didn't get the full-time head coaching job, he's like, look, let's do this. Let's move into the Fiji house. We'll have a blast. I was like 45. I'm like, really? He goes, oh, I love Dad's weekends. They're crazy. So 49-year-old football player, this guy decides he wants to play football. And I got to tell you, I think it's the greatest thing I've ever heard. I think it's the greatest thing that I've ever heard. 49 years old, he gets a chance to go back in time and play football. Now, let me ask you a question. People always say, hey, look, we want to go back to college. I would go back to college anytime and do it all over again. You know what makes this story even better? My man here is a freshman. That's right. Ray Rochelle, and the team is undefeated. He's an active duty. This guy's in shape now. He's an active duty. I want to make sure I get this right. North Dakota Army National Guard member. He's been part of that team for 17 years. He said the players have all welcomed him. At first, they thought I was another football coach on our first day of practice. And then I got in line for pads. They were like, wait a minute, you're playing? The head coach is a year younger than Mr. Rochelle. I love this. Here's what he said. He's always in a good mood. He's always just Ray. He's ready to go, ready to work. He's there for his teammates. He found out about the football team from a friend and determined not only to make the team, but have an impact. I want to live life. If I had a chance and I didn't take it, I'd regret it. I had a chance and I'm taking it and I'm living life to the fullest. I think that's awesome. I do. I think it's awesome. I think I have 3 years of baseball eligibility left at Indiana. Seriously, let me ask you this question. Those of you that went to college, all right, would you do it again? Now, stupid question, right? Of course you'd do it again. We'd all do it again. It'd be great to do it again. Who wouldn't want to do it again? Like, I'm not saying if I went back to college, I'd like to play basketball. And in fact, I have 3 kind of dreams at night. One of them involves my wife that I'm not getting into. One of them involves Bobby Knight, and one of them involves going back and playing for Bobby Knight, and one of them involves going back and coaching at Bowling Green. That's the only 3 that I have at night. It's like pick a dream, spin a wheel. And every time I go back and play at Indiana, I'm pretty happy until I got to run. And then all of a sudden in my dream, I become a guy that's 60 years old and can't run. But 49 years old, are you kidding me? Let's do it. Oh, hell yeah. Let's do it today, tomorrow, and the next day. Tell me you wouldn't do it. Wouldn't you want to do it? Wouldn't you want to say, hey, man, I wouldn't want to go to class. But, hey, I think it would be a blast. All right? An overturned truck spills 22,000 pounds of fish onto a North Carolina highway. Remember a week or so ago we had sex toys spilling on the highway? See the correlation? Anyway, this time it's fish. Let's see a little fish fry on a highway.
State 95 open again now after a crash that involved a tractor trailer carrying catfish. Look at the mess left behind is 22,000 pounds of catfish wound up all over the interstate. Happened this morning on I-95 near Godwin. The driver checked out by EMS, not taken to the hospital though. Along with the fish, there was fuel spill there. That made the cleanup even more difficult.
22,000 pounds of anything is a lot, right? A ton is 2,000 pounds. So that's 11 ton of fish. Think about that. Who's cleaning that crap up? Like, one of the things that I would do, I would get so many workers. Like, I would be like, I don't know, we call it INDOT. Here was it, Indiana Department of Transportation, whatever, NC dot, NIC dot, I don't know. The North Carolina Department of Transportation. Look, you don't want to be the last guy that's in hour number 6 picking up some dead catfish. All right, here's a question. Would you fall? Would you fall is an interesting question. Well, no, I'm not drunk. No, I've not been drinking. No. All right? No. But let me ask you a question here. This carpet is designed, that I'm going to show you, so that you don't run in the hallways, and I think it's genius. Let's show this 3D carpet. Would you fall? Now, I'm not sure that the video that we just did here, or that picture, does it justice, but I'm telling you, 3D carpet, doesn't it look like you're about ready to step in a hole? If you started from the bottom here and went like, I don't know, 2 steps, it looks like you're going up, down, and then really down. I think this is pretty good. We've all been in hotels. You ever been to Cedar Point in Ohio? Cedar Point in Ohio, ushka bibble. Cedar Point is great. Cedar Point is this place where you're happy. Cedar Point, wonderful. However, Cedar Point closes. And then if you're lucky / unlucky enough that you got to stay there in a hotel, you know what you hear? Brrr, 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 brrr. You hear, oh man, kids with boundless energy running the hallways. Now look, the reason I bring up Cedar Point is any father or mother that has spent all day, and I do mean all day, at an amusement park like Cedar Point, which means you get there at 10, you leave at about 10 or 11 at night, and you're constantly on the go. By the time you get to the hotel, or by the time you get in that car to drive home, it's as tired as you've ever been in your life. I don't care if you played for Bear Bryant back in the 50s. You're more tired when you put your fat whatever sitting in a daggone hotel. And the last thing in the world, the last thing you want is for a freaking gaggle of running kids. Just kids running up and down a hallway because all you're trying to do is shut your damn eyes. This is genius. Highly recommended. Cedar Point, Kings Island, Disney, name a place. I think this is freaking awesome. That's right. Awesome. All right. Let's get to a couple of other things. People are complaining about something. I don't complain about this. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, yes, tonight, you're going to see the Astros take on the Yankees. Now, let me ask you a question. Let me just simply ask you a question. Those of you that are unhappy about that, and some of you are, I'm reading some of y'all's stuff. Unfair, man. Should have put in an off date. All right, well, maybe they should have. But the truth of the matter is this. I like appointment TV. And if I'm going to play football and not have football on Wednesdays, then I want freaking something where, oh, by the way, we're rocking and rolling. I want something somewhere where, oh, by the way, people are, I got something to watch. I want to run home and watch. And it ain't going to be the NBA. I'm not one of those that says I won't watch the NBA. I will. I got no problem watching the NBA. NBA wants to promote workplace violence. That's their prerogative, right? I mean, who cares? But I will tell you this. I will tell you that baseball, Yankees, Astros, given the history going back to 17, oh yeah. I am all in on that. Ryan Mueller sends me a video of a soccer fan flashing her boobs to the entire stadium when a goal was scored. I'm here for that. Yeah, people go, that's gross. That might be. Yeah, okay. But the truth of the matter is, what are you going to do? You got them, you're happy, flaunt them. Why not? I don't know why that's a big deal. It seems like it should be a big deal. And away we go. Scary Larry Cowan, after I said earlier that I influence things, yeah, sure, little radio media guy thinks Indy cares what he has to say. Walk down the street, ask anyone, see how many people say Dan who. Yeah, I don't know. All right. We already have our first threat in the NBA. This is a what the hell. Marcus Smart had an altercation last night with Joel Embiid. So here's how Marcus Smart handled that. He said, hey, I could have cracked his head open, but I didn't. That's the maturity we had. I didn't crack his head open. I didn't. I could have. I wanted to. I should have. But I've matured. I've matured to the point where I don't crack people's heads open. That's right. Me too. Look, here's something about fighting. Can I give you a piece of advice? I have a friend. That friend died over a jacket. Now you're saying to me, what are you talking about? He died over a jacket. What does that mean? Well, that means he was in a bar at Purdue. His jacket, leather jacket. Some other guy took it. Turns out, I'll get to the story, but turns out my guy came over. Confrontation. Fists were drawn. Guy popped my friend right in the nose. Pushed his nose back into the brain. He was dead on the floor. Turns out it was the other guy's jacket. Don't go around punching people. Don't go around cracking skulls. Don't go around thinking that it's okay because Draymond Green and the NBA condone it. Don't go around doing that. Don't do it. It's bad. Who wants to go to jail for the rest of their life over a jacket? Let me explain jail to you. All right, I'm here in my basement. It's a nice basement. Big screen TV. Nice couches. Got a bed over here. Let's take the entire basement. Got a fully stocked bar. Got a crapper over there. Got another basement, okay? If somebody said to me, Dan, you're sentenced to life in this basement. Now I want you to think about this. You're sentenced to life in this basement. What? Yeah. You can, life in this basement. You can get out for 1 hour a day. You can have visitors upstairs. It's your own home. You got cable. We'll do the wash. Could you imagine? Or in a hotel. Hey, look, you're sentenced to life in the Hyatt Regency. You're sentenced to life in the Biltmore Hotel. You can never leave the hotel. You know how miserable that would be? Multiply it by 8 bazillion being in a little cell because you fought over a jacket. Don't do that. That's not smart. I hate to be preachy, but damn. So don't fight in a basketball game. Seriously, just don't do it. Don't. Draymond Green could have just as easily been on the court yesterday as he could have been in a prison cell for 1, the punch. Let's say the punch hits Jordan Poole, kills him. 2, the punch knocked him back. Let's say he hits his head. 3, Draymond Green went and stood over him. Draymond Green can make videos, and maybe we'll show Draymond Green's video when we come back. But Draymond Green is lucky as hell. I mean, lucky as hell. He is not serving time in a jail cell for the punch that he threw. I'll show you if we can do it. I think we can. I'll show you Green's video next. And let me ask you a question. Who the hell shut down schools? I'm looking. Fauci says he didn't shut down schools. Who the hell shut down schools? Apparently, nobody wants to take blame for things when they go wrong, but damn, we're people doing press conferences every day. Let's talk about Fauci. Let's talk about Draymond Green, and I'll go back and talk about Jimmy Irsay when we come back. Keep right here. Hey, Ryan Mueller, El Presidente, the rest of you, retweet this stuff. Come on, it's good stuff today.
What's up, guys? It's Tommy. Make sure you follow me on social media at Tommy Lahren and check out Outkick.com for exclusive content. But in case you missed my last episode, here's what you missed. Does it frustrate you at all that this no cash bail, some of these felon coddling policies that allow people to commit even violent crimes and then be released, does that at all frustrate you that that's swept up in that banner of criminal justice reform? Because to me, it seems like it does a great disservice to what you're actually trying to do, and people don't know the difference.
I think what's frustrating me the most right now is that we are going on 50 years of tough on crime policies, and we've got the data to show that they don't work. We've got the data to show that if we reinvest money that we're saving from not incarcerating that person for a technical violation, from not locking up that person for, using drugs, from not locking up somebody who has a severe mental health issue and needs to get help. If we're actually reinvesting that money into programs that work, we have data, we have evidence that shows that it works, that these folks will get back on their feet and succeed, and that it'll prevent new crimes from happening, because the last thing we want is crime on our streets.
The service said they have dissuaded him from coming to Capitol Hill. They told him they don't have the resources to protect him here. So at the moment he is not coming, but that could change.
Oh, he comes, I'm gonna punch him out. This is my
I
moment.
would pay to see
I've
that.
been waiting for this, for trespassing on the Capitol grounds. I'm gonna punch him out, and I'm gonna go to jail, and I'm gonna be happy.
Ladies, gentlemen, they, thems, that would be our elderly Speaker of the House threatening to punch out a sitting president and be happy about it. Boy, for all the grief Donald Trump got and still gets about being not presidential, that right there doesn't sound very congressional to me, Nancy. But of course, no one on the left is condemning the Speaker for her threat of violence. Instead, it's celebrated as valiant, badass, and noble. What's up, guys? It's Tommy, and I am getting married. So tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern for a special wedding edition episode. You don't want to miss this.
Oh, man. How is everybody today? Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you guys every day coming out to watch. Tell your friends. Let's keep building this thing. We're on the precipice. They're trying to shadow ban us a little bit, which has got our numbers down. But you know what? They ain't getting it done. We're just going to keep giving you great content every single day. And we are so appreciative of y'all coming on and being with us every single day. You know, a lot of us, I'm wearing my Harvard shirt today because I value education. My stepdaughter, the lovely Tegan Shaw, third baseman for the Harvard Crim. That's right, softball team that has made the NCAA tournament. So, look, I'm all about education. When I was a basketball coach, one of the things that I spent most of my time on when it wasn't basketball was making sure kids were going to school, making sure that guys got their education, and they all did. If you stayed with me till you were a senior, you got your degree. It's just simple as that. But in that same vein, I remember thinking, man, closing down schools is stupid. Closing down schools is going to do irreparable damage. And who did it? A lot of people say Dr. Fauci. A lot of people say the school board. You know, if you're a political guy, a lot of people are going to say Trump, whatever. But I'll tell you who says he didn't do it, and that is Dr. Fauci. Let's show Dr. Anthony Fauci saying what he did not do.
Was it a mistake in so many states and so many localities to see schools closed as long as they were?
I think in some case, I don't want to use the word mistake, John, because if I do, it gets taken out of the context that you're asking me the question on.
Well, did we pay too high a price?
Yeah, I would say that what we should realize and have realized that there will be deleterious collateral consequences when you do something like that. This idea that this virus doesn't afflict children is not so. It does. We've lost close to 1,500 kids so far.
But much less than the older population, obviously.
Oh, of course. Yeah. But you shouldn't discount that it does afflict children, so it isn't without consequences. If you go back, and I ask anybody to go back over the number of times that I've said we've got to do everything we can to keep the schools open, no one plays that clip. They always come back and say Fauci was responsible for closing schools. I had nothing to do.
I mean,
let's get down to the facts.
Well, I mean, okay, if that's what you say. A lot of people are saying differently. A lot of parents are saying he was complicit in the school closing. The national, you got guys stepping down, you got people all over the place. And look, I will tell you this, when I saw Fauci talk like that, I kind of believed him. And then I said, well, you know what? He has talked out of both sides of his mouth. And anybody that doesn't understand that school closures did give collateral damage. All right. Fox News contributor Nicole Safir says she found a few instances to prove the opposite. While no one can fault the initial school closures, spring of 2020, the CDC, state legislatures, teachers union, and even Dr. Fauci played a role in prolonging the closures that ultimately provided problems. Fauci said, what is paramount is the safety and welfare of the children and of their teachers. When you have a lot of infections, you got to make a decision at the local level. Now, personally, I'm a reasonable person. That doesn't sound unreasonable to me. Apparently, in January of 2021, Fauci said he supported the CDC's updated guidelines that schools should resume in-person learning if social distancing and masks were properly enforced. She also argued that he did not speak up when powerful teachers union slow-walked the reopening of schools. Sapphire said, when schools stay closed, citing it's impossible to maintain 6 feet social distancing, Fauci remained quiet. He did say respectfully that schools should reopen as soon as possible for the sake of childhood education, but he was complicit in the damage done when he remained silent on as the local legislatures and teachers union kept the schools closed. Reading scores have decreased to the lowest level in 30 years. Math scores have decreased to the low. It's the first decrease in math in the history of the testing regimen done by the National Center of Educational Statistics. So there was total collateral damages, and certainly we all knew that. However, I would argue for Fauci in this. I know he's an easy target. I know he's the easiest guy in the world to say that, well, you know what, blame it on Fauci. And I know he put himself in front of all of us way too many times for us to have any kind of interest in what he had to say. And certainly he contradicted himself. But I got to tell you, as the son of a teachers union lobbyist, if you think Dr. Fauci's words were going to have a great impact on the most powerful teachers unions in the country, you're nuts. It's easy to blame. It's easy. And people can go back and cut up clips and show where Fauci said this or where Fauci said this or said that. But one of the things that I don't really want to hear is him being silent was complicit. I mean, let's be honest. That's the easiest thing in the world to say. You have no out when you're Fauci. You know, what he said, I think, is right. The local level has to decide. What's the problem with that? Closing schools, anybody that said closing schools wasn't going to have collateral damage was an idiot. Hell, I knew that. Hell, I knew it had collateral damage in my own office building where you had adults walking around actually not talking to each other and wearing a mask. You know, people are saying Fauci fear-mongered. Well, all right. They say Fauci fear-mongered. Many administrators, teachers, parents believe children would be safer, masked, doubled or even tripled, and out in person, in some cases, a full year. All right, if that's what you think. As the self-appointed COVID czar, politicos and the media turned to him for advice, and his was to lock kids out. Fauci pushed full school closures, politicized our pandemic response, and has done much damage to kids. That's what Fox contributor Kara Markovich says. That he still refuses to face that damage and his direct role in it is more evidence of the cover provided to him by a complicit media. He never gets asked follow-up questions or gets questions on his false assertions. History should remember him as the poster child for pandemic failure. It's kind of strong. Now, I get it. That's what comes with the job. But let's be honest, standing up the teachers union, good for you. But once you made the decision to close them and then saying it should go to the local level, I'm not all that mad about it. Look, he's an easy target. He is. And I always say this, and I say this about Donald Trump. I say this about Barack Obama. Barack Obama told a friend of mine, one of his good friends, we have a mutual friend, that he felt the need to reach out and apologize privately to George W. Bush because during the election, Obama, like most people, thought he had all the answers. Well, he wasn't privy to all the information that the current president, George W. Bush, was at the time. And the first day Barack Obama got into office, the very first day, he realized that he was wrong on the campaign trail in some of his criticism of George W. Bush. That's normal. That makes sense to me. Now, look, the easiest thing to do is to do what most people do. Fauci's an idiot. But when I read Fauci's comments, they make sense. Look, I'm not saying he wasn't complicit. I'm not saying that he didn't make more money than God during the pandemic. Don't know how he did it. But again, I don't know how politicians like Biden that serve however many years on a salary that we all know, and it isn't millions, end up as bazillionaires. I don't know how that is, but it is. So unless I have the answers, I don't really give you one side or the other. I don't have the answers on what Fauci knew that we all didn't, neither do you. I don't know what he was supposed to have done in a pandemic, but I do know this. Anybody that did not know that locking children out from their friends was horrible should not have had the job that they had. And maybe horrible, maybe test scores, maybe, I'm just giving you a side, maybe test scores, maybe, going down is better than kids dying. I mean, I just want you to think about it. We all would take, hey man, Andrew, you did bad on tests, but you're alive, I'll take it. I don't really know, but I know this, man, we can't wait to blame. Remember the picture of Fauci with his mask around his nose? We can't wait. And I guess when you put yourself in front of us as the all-time expert, the czar, and all of a sudden you're doing a press conference every day in an era where we really all don't know, this was new to everybody, I guess you open yourself up to criticism. Tom Tavener says, Fauci is to medicine what Bernie Madoff was to investing. Yeah, I got to tell you, maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. I don't know. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. I'm not. Maybe it's not. Don't know. I honestly don't. And I followed this. Like, one thing I know is teachers' unions are pretty strong, and once you give them a way not to work, they're going to take it. There it is. There's the picture right there. People lost their minds on that. Does that make him a hypocrite? Maybe. Does that make him evil? No. Anyway, hopefully our country gets back to common sense. Hopefully our country gets back to where, I don't know, maybe instead of blaming, we come up with answers, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. I don't. All right, Draymond Green. Let's listen to Draymond Green's kind of, sort of, maybe apology. Look, the NBA has decided that workplace violence is okay. And I'm going to say this again, and I don't give a damn who comes at me. If I'm Robert Sarver, there is not one chance in hell that I am selling my team. Robert Sarver is the man that owns the Phoenix Suns. Robert Sarver, it was discovered, made in the workplace, difficult for some people. Maybe it was women, maybe it was minorities. Depends on what you read and who you believe. I think it was both, personally. I think he made it hard on everybody. I think that's what he is. I think he's a billionaire that's kind of a pig. But I got to tell you, I don't know that words are worse than what you're going to see right here, Draymond Green doing to his teammate. And Draymond Green, hey, man, all he got, a little bit of a fine. Let's show you Draymond Green, then we'll show you Draymond Green's kind of, sort of, maybe apology yesterday.
I was told.
Wow. The drama. He can live with that. Do we have more from him, or is that what we got? The upside. Oh, we care so much. All it means is that Draymond Green is an entitled small man that's a bully and a punk. That's all that means. I always liked him. I always thought he was a great interview. I always thought he was fun to be around. When I needed something, you go to him because he's always going to say something. But Draymond Green, the story. Draymond Green, you saw my worst moment. Really? You think that's his worst moment? I bet you there's worse. When I see somebody do that, I always go to speeding. You don't get caught speeding the first time you speed. Draymond Green, Steve Kerr, Bob Myers, the entire Golden State organization would have, if they could have, swept this under the rug. When you remember when this first came out, Draymond Green, Kerr, and the Golden State Warriors, it's a physical confrontation. They got chest to chest. That's exactly what they said. They did get chest to chest, so they weren't lying. But what they forgot about was the all-out, off-my-feet, throw a punch into the face of a teammate, knocking him down. I don't know whether he was knocked out. I don't know whether he was, quote, knocked cold. I got no idea about any of it. But I do know this. There hasn't been one thing that Draymond Green has said to make this situation better. Has Draymond Green been fired yet? That's what I continue to ask. Are we condoning workplace violence? Is that what we're doing? I got people that say to me, Dan, there's no way, John Feinberg, Dan, I still don't believe you never witnessed a fight in practice in your playing or coaching days. John, I got to tell you, not like that. Not where a guy came up on another guy and threw a punch off of his feet with a follow through, and then when he was knocked down, came at him. John, I'm just going to tell you. Now, John, I understand. You caught a big fish. And everybody wants to say, yeah, man, I've seen fight. No, you haven't. None of you have. The only real fight I ever saw at Indiana, and I never really had one at Bowling Green, but the only real fight I saw was when Knight was stupid enough to put a kid named Harris Mujazinovic and Sharon Wilkerson in a circle, players circled, and said, go ahead, if you guys are going to fight, fight. He was trying to prove a point. Bad point. One guy got a broken nose out of it and had to play in a mask. Stupid point from a stupid man. But anyway, so yeah, I really don't care that Draymond Green is making this all dramatic. Draymond Green can go about being the business of new media. But I ask very simply, why hasn't he been fired? And Doug Gottlieb said it right. They have three guys, Wiggins, Green, and Poole, to extend. Two of those guys, yesterday, Andrew Wiggins got about $135 million. Poole over $100 million. Green, no extension. Keep your job, lose your career, might just be the way. And Draymond Green can be the next Charles Barkley, and he will. And Draymond Green is the beneficiary of a very white, very scared, very, very, very entitled NBA media. NBA media members, more than any other media members, want to live, quote, the life. They want to hang because NBA players in the culture of, a lot of different things, including rap music, are cool. So there isn't an NBA reporter that I've ever met that didn't try to act cool. I'll never forget Stephen A. Smith at the Eastern Conference Finals, walking around the court and players just laughing at him. He walked around the court like he was the Gazda, the man. We had a guy here in Indy who went by one name. As an NBA reporter. The white dudes are scared to death because white dudes in the media tiptoe around because they don't want to be called white boy or they don't want to be made fun of, so they kiss the ass of NBA players. And let me tell you something, Draymond Green's ass has been kissed by more than one white media guy. What, you haven't seen fights like that? Kevin Durant said he didn't. Urban Meyer said he didn't. I said I didn't. I don't know. That's a lot of years. Urban 20, 30, I don't know. Me 20-something. I never saw that. Played with some tough guys. Really tough guys. Coached some really tough guys. Never saw it. But hey, NBA they encourage violence. Last night, why am I talking about this? Last night, everybody got the rings. Guess who didn't speak? Draymond Green. But hey, he's new media. We're all supposed to genuflect because somehow some dude that spent like 2 minutes in college is smarter than all of us and more philosophical. Okay, I'm in on it. Sell me your philosophy, Draymond, Day. Let us know. Who is the woke-a-dope of the day? We got to have one. There's plenty. I'll give it to Draymond Green. Just keep talking. We're all listening, baby.
If you get any questionable
Who's
calls,
our woke-a-dope?
please tell us by going to report fraud, dotftc.gov.
Can we play that again? Just for S's and G's, which
If you get
means
any questionable
and giggles.
calls, please tell us
Look at
by
this
going
guy.
to report fraud, dotftc.gov. dotftc.gov.
That's the most powerful man in America. He did a little hand touching yesterday, too. There's your guy. 81 million, 84 million. I'm telling all of you, and I'm going to end the show like this. I know Clay and others say that a red wave is coming. And I agree. It certainly should be coming. Like, if somehow, some way, you can still support this administration, God bless you. I love you. You're the best. But be careful. I grew up in Northwest Indiana. I say it all the time. I grew up in Northwest Indiana, man. I have a guy that taught me how to shoot a jump shot is currently hiding out in Mykonos. The day before, night before, not his conviction, he was already convicted in federal court. The day before his sentencing on voter fraud as a councilman in East Chicago, he was smart enough, I guess, to take all his money, had been putting it, and flew to Mykonos, Greece, where Interpol does not get Greek citizens. I've been around voter fraud, so those of you that tell me there's no such thing as voter fraud, I ain't your guy. Tell it to the little guy from Eastern Green, Indiana. Tell it to the little shaver from Pekin, Illinois. When you grew up in Northwest Indiana and you had one of your dad's friends who was running for city councilman of Gary come to your house and want to register the empty lot between your house and the Melham's house, and you're sitting there going, Dad, nobody lives there. Why? Well, who can vote there? And my dad's like, hey, Roland, we don't own it, baby. The people next door own it. When you can do that, when you've seen that, you believe in voter fraud. So I'm telling all of you, if you want to get this administration out, then you got to do exactly what the NBA and NFL is telling you to do. The NBA and NFL is telling you to vote because they believe that you're going to vote liberal. They believe you're going to vote Democratic. They believe you're too lazy and you'll just vote Democratic. Well, I'm telling you, yes, do what they're saying. Get out and vote. But somehow, some way, you got to get this crew of bandits out of office. You got to get this crew gone. Gonnne. Yeah. We're going to get you set up for the playoffs in baseball. We're going to recap them tomorrow. But again, I say to all of you, I can't thank you enough for joining our show. Those of you that are Indiana basketball fans, you're not going to want to miss our 107.5 The Fan and 93.5 The Fan show coming up at 12. Dane Fife, the great Dane Fife, is going to join me in studio for 3 hours. We're going to chat about whatever Dane wants to chat about. Maybe Mike Woodson. Maybe we're going to talk Indiana basketball, his experiences. Certainly going to talk about Jimmy Irsay and the train wreck that he's become and the train wreck that the NFL has become. Yeah. We're going to talk about all of those things. And Dane, I don't think Dane will be that critical or even a little bit critical of Mike Woodson. That's really not his style. Dane is a positive person, but Dane's going to sit in with me. Last thing, good luck today to my dear friend J.D. Campbell. He's having bypass surgery. He is the sport information director of Indiana men's basketball. And he's been a dear friend of mine going back to my days in Bowling Green. He's having open heart surgery today. He's having at minimum 3 bypass, maybe 4. So if you have a moment and you want to say a prayer for somebody, do it from my good friend, please, J.D. Campbell. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen. Dakich out.
Hey, I'm David Hookstead, host of American Joyride, a podcast where we shine a spotlight on patriotism and American exceptionalism. Take a look.
This is something, again, that I really like to ask military guys because I feel like they have unique perspectives, sometimes that surprise people. But most importantly, in my opinion, anyone who's sacrificed on any level tends to be very grateful or more grateful than just your average person. So when you hear people maybe say that America is a terrible place or that we're an evil country full of evil people, do you kind of cringe when you hear that? Like, what's your reaction when you turn on the news and it's just nonstop negativity around the clock about how awful this place is?
Well, I actually don't turn on the news anymore because of that.
Smart.
It's one, not true. And it's unbelievably toxic how that mindset and hearing it all the time. Even if one, you believe it, then you go around believing that about your own nation all the time. Like, that's a horrible way to feel about who you is. They're not leaving, right? They're not finding a more noble country to go to. They're just staying here and they're sulking and they're spreading this horrible idea about how shameful we should all feel all the time. And I don't want to live that way. but I don't believe it. And so listening to it just pisses me off. I don't think that anyone is really able to say that with a straight face unless they have paid no attention to world history.
Right.
Like, it takes a real level of ignorance of history to say that America is unique in its cruelty. Like, it's just absurd. It's really, we're not void of it, but we are certainly not unique in it.
Make sure to catch every single episode of American Joyride at Outkick.com.